That feels a lot better. Of course, y'all probably can't see anything, which means I'm probably talking to myself. Okay. I can admire the handiwork. That looks like it'll work. May adjust some heights, but I'm about ready to set up. Well, I finally got the tarp set up. It's about, I don't know, 9:30. I look at this watch and it's actually the remote to the GoPro. That doesn't help. It's about 9:30 or so at night. Got in when it was dark. Finally, time to make a fire. So let's get to it. Alright, I can finally relax a little bit by the fire, or the stove. It's about 9:45. Finally got the tarp set up and the lights and stove. Had to call and wish my mom a happy birthday. Finally getting settled in though, and kick back and relax a little bit and warm up. It's about 50 degrees right now. Low tonight's supposed to be around 40. Sleeping bag's rated for 30, so it might get a little bit on the chilly side. Since this stove's not exactly freestanding, since there's no support for the chimney, I don't think I'll probably keep it running. I don't have a good supply of firewood right now anyway, since I got in at dark. So we'll use it to warm up and make sure I have a good bed of twigs to get a fire going quickly in the morning with. I've been warming myself by the fire for a little while now. It's about 11 o'clock. I think it's about time for me to hit the sack. Night. Alright, it's about 6:30. I've collected a few twigs so I can make a small fire. I woke up once last night, about 2 o'clock, a little cold, and then had to get up and pee. It's about 40 degrees right now. Sleeping bag's rated to 30. I'm a little surprised I was as cold as I was, but I also didn't do all the smart things like shove my extra clothes in the bottom of the sleeping bag to keep my feet warm. So definitely some opportunities for improvement. All right, let's get this fire started. Oh, it feels good. Another thing I've liked so far about having the stove versus an open fire, you get some radiant heat from the sides of the stove, but there's really only a small area for flames and sparks to come out. So if I want to leave the door off like this and have open flames, there's only a small area versus sparks being able to shoot every which direction. And then a small fire really goes a lot further with this. I'm going to put that door on though. There you go. You can see kind of how poorly this is drawing. Yeah, it's going up the chimney, but it's not really going very well. And I think that's because of the baffle that I put on. So baffle's fine for normal. I think I'm gonna have to take that out for the rest of this trip. I'm gonna try to cook up a few hash browns. Unfortunately, I only brought the small plate. Grabbed the wrong one when I was packing up, so Not going to be able to make very many hash browns at a time. It's alright, I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight anyway, so my workout. As the hash browns lose some liquid, there's not really a lot of them there. Sure shrinks down an awful lot. Not really getting enough heat for a real solid fry either, but it's starting to brown up. Alright, didn't end up with a whole lot, but that's alright. Based on my usage, I think it's about 400 calories worth. I don't know, figured it'd be a decent start to the day. Definitely not as good as I usually make. The bits that are browned are not quite fried right, and the bits that aren't cooked are definitely undercooked. So, oh well, it's still tasty, and I'm still gonna enjoy it. Well, here I am. So the stove was super hot when I put it the other way without the baffle. I can't find my damper to slow that down. Setting the stove up in the dark last night, I must have set it aside. I don't see it around. I think I might have scooped it up with the leaves as I was clearing the leaves away. And so I'm burning all of the leaves in the area so that I can get it back if it's mixed in with the leaves. I tried to sift through them and can't find it, so here I am. Look what I just found. I don't know if you can see it. Not in the leaves at all. Oh well, I'll empty out the ashes and now I'm set for later. Alright, well I've burned down all those leaves, apparently unnecessarily. And it's now kind of past time for lunch. I just had like 5 does running through the woods about 40 yards away from me. So I tried an old trick. I tried whistling. Didn't do any good. Maybe they didn't hear me. But then I yelled, "Hey!" And at least 4 of them stopped and just looked at me. 2 of them were lined up perfectly. If I was going to take a shot with a big boar, it would have taken them both down. Really cool to experience that and validate that that works. That's at least the second time that it's worked for me. Alright, well, let's get this fire started and get a little water on to rehydrate some food. I'm going to eat some lunch. Then I'll probably start collecting firewood since I'm so far behind today now. It's supposed to rain tonight and or tomorrow, so better get started on that and then try fishing later. Alright, found a pretty ideal tree. A little bigger than I'd prefer to saw up with just a saw blade or even an improvised saw. So I'm just going to cut this in half. I've got another one I found somewhere, but I've gotten turned around in the woods. I'm having trouble finding it. So I came across this one while I was looking for the other. So I'll cut this up into a couple pieces, get it back to the tent, tarp, and then keep looking for the other piece. Alright, so here's another down tree, but this one the bark is tightly adhered to it, so that one's probably not dry. But right over here we've got another one that we can see the bark is kind of loosely on. Nice smooth trunk here. So this one, oh yeah, nice and solid and probably nice and dry too. So we're going to cut off a piece of this one and take it back to camp as well. Starts to get a little big. Maybe I'll prop it up for next time I'm here. But don't want to saw through such a large piece right now. So I'll take the top part of this and call it good. Alright. Just got this sawed through. I'm going to carry it back. This one's a little heavier. Time to get a fire going again. And then I've got some bigger wood, so it'll hopefully not go out, especially now that I can damper it down again. And then time to make some dinner. No luck exploring around here today. It's supposed to rain here tomorrow. No geese, no fish. I'll probably cut this trip short and make it a 2-day, 2-night rather than a 3-day. Oh yeah, that's burning a lot better with the chimney cleared properly and then in the normal orientation. Alright, now to let it do its thing, and got some fresh meat here, so I'm going to let that cook and simmer for a while and get tender. It'll probably be a little darker next time you see me, but maybe not fully dark. Alright. My meat's been simmering for, I don't know, a few hours now, and I think it's about ready. It's definitely tender. The larger logs are going well in the fire. Unfortunately, I just dropped my extra battery bank that runs the string lights, and it just died, so I don't know. I have to take it apart and see if I can fix it, but I'm gonna eat a little dinner. The cooler weather sure makes the fire nice to have. It's supposed to be a little sprinkle coming through within the next hour or so. So move the camera under the tarp and leave the stove out, it'll be fine. Alright, let's get to this. Probably gonna have to let that cool a little bit before I can eat it at all. Not quite as tender as I thought, but not bad. I love this LED bulb. Put a link in the description, and I'll have to move it up underneath once the rain starts. But man, this thing's great. It has quite a variety of power levels. You can change the color temperature from daylight to warm light. I don't really care about that so much, but it's been pretty handy. I saw something similar that Lone Wolf had and had to get it for camera work, and it's been great. I haven't had this set up in the rain yet before, but I'm going to say the stove definitely beats an open fire when it starts raining, because the stove will prevent the rain from putting the fire out. May warp the top though, but it already is pretty warped, and that happens, so I don't think that's going to be a huge concern. That's a definite advantage, I think, that the baffle would have in the rain, is it would prevent any rain from going down the chimney and into the fire. Instead, it would hit the baffle, and so it would evaporate there before it hit the wood. But it just didn't burn worth a darn with the baffle in, so it's interesting how it works fine with the longer chimney in a tent, but for now, it's going to stay in this orientation. I'm done listening to my podcast. I've added a few logs to the fire. We're supposed to get some rain, so I moved the logs in under the tarp here, so I think it's time to change and go to bed. Hopefully I'll have a few coals left in the morning. If I get up at some point, I'll add a couple more logs I've pre-cut into the fire and then call it good. Alright, see you in the morning. Good morning. It's around, 7:30, something like that. Rain started around 5 a.m., so I brought the stove in, since it's just down to coals and ashes. Other than some rednecks waking me up last night, I slept really well. There's no vehicles allowed around here, but I guess the thing to do is cruise around the woods anyway. I know they've created a lot of paths around here, but they weren't too bad. They're not tearing it up. They're just making roads where there's not supposed to be roads. But anyway, I'm going to get the fire started and get some coffee on. It was a lot warmer last night, but I slept really well. I was smart and put this jacket around my feet and then my sweatshirt over the top of me, and that helped a lot, plus the fact that it was a lot warmer. Alright, there's a big down branch nearby that was dead and had a lot of stuff to grab. But even if you don't have a down branch, the pine limbs underneath the pine tree are pretty much always dry, even in rain. That'll give me enough wood to light the next size up. Although this is really 2 or 3 sizes up. Hopefully that'll go. Alright, I'm gonna break a few more branches and bring you back. Alright, got the decent sized branches in there. Not enough room to put a big log, but I'll get that as the wood burns down. Let's see if we can get this. Got to clear out these vent holes right here. They've got a lot of ash blocking them. Alright, we've got boiling happening. Time to make some coffee. Flames shooting out the top. Yeah, better slow that down before I melt the end of my tarp there. I'm gonna have to move this thing out a little further. I moved it in because if rain starts dripping, it's going to go directly on the stove top. If that starts happening, I may just have to make a blocker using the baffle or something. Definitely don't want to melt the tarp. That's enough for at least one more. I may pack it up tonight. May have an afternoon cup of coffee though. Let that sit for a few minutes. Get this fire, get some larger, or some other sticks on there, just to make sure that large piece will catch. Just a hair too long. No matter. You can make it shorter. Alright, we'll get a little water on for hash browns. I'm not going to make the mistake as yesterday and rehydrate them in the pan. We'll just get the water hot and then add them either to the pot or to my coffee cup when I'm done with coffee. Speaking of, it's about that time. I have to make sure my camera's under the tarp. You know, this isn't the most comfortable chair in the world, but it sure beats sitting on the ground. Ooh, that's hot. I'm gonna have to let that sit. See you all in a little while. Alright, I've got the hash browns on. There was a break while I was waiting for my coffee to cool, and it was just barely a drizzle, so I went down to river and got more water. So time to warm up my hands and get these hash browns cooked up. As usual, I normally keep my spices in this little bag. Anything small goes in here, toothbrush, toothpaste, etc. Salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, maybe a little bit of chipotle. Those are the 5 seasonings I carry, and I pretty much use them on just about everything. Chipotle. I'm thinking about adding a stove jack to this tarp. I don't know, somewhere in here maybe. It'll allow me to use the short chimney when it's down low, although then I'd be crammed up against the wall. And then I can use my normal taller chimney as well with it. And I could actually get this in, so if it's raining it doesn't really matter. It'll also give me a chance to enclose it and maybe hold a little bit of heat in, but without doors on the ends I can't imagine it's going to hold in any heat. My other tent, if you have the door open, doesn't feel any warmer than outside. That one's kind of caked up a little bit. I have my popcorn salt. I'm curious how that would be on hash browns. Alright, I'll bring you back in a little bit. These little MSR seasoning containers, link in the description, are super handy. They hold enough seasonings for usually about 3 or 4 days, depending on the seasoning and of course how much you use. But they've recently come out with this one, which is one big one instead of these double-ended, and that really helps. So I use that for pepper. It's also got a larger opening. Still not big, but it works better for fresh ground pepper. So these things are awesome. I love them. Although if you have any others, I'd be interested in hearing about what you use for seasonings. What I really need is a pepper mill that I can hook up to a drill, because it takes forever to grind up a few tablespoons of pepper when I'm making big batches of seasoning. That's pretty good. You can hear the rain kicked up. You might not be able to hear anything other than the water drops on the tarp. So I'm just going to sit back and relax and finish off my coffee and enjoy the rest of the morning. Check the forecast. It's supposed to stop raining after another hour or so and then start up again and all day tomorrow. So I think I will finish up some lunch, change out of my pajamas finally, and then start taking some stuff back to the car. I'm going to make 2 trips. Take the awkward stuff that I didn't even use, like the waders and fishing pole and stuff like that, and then come back and then pack up the rest. That way, if it does start raining again, I can mostly pack in the dry area. Alright, let's get this meat going. Meat's a little plain, but I can add a little pepper. Looks like the coffee's ready. Bottoms up. Keep looking at this like it's a watch. I haven't worn a watch in 15 years, ever since my battery died. As soon as there's a thing on my wrist, I keep looking at it to check the time. So I'll check the time on my phone for the coffee, I guess. Alright, should be enough time. No idea how long it was. Again, because this plunger was for the smaller size mug, that thing's only going to about here, so it doesn't do a good job of pushing all the grounds into one area. Cheers for your afternoon drinks as well. It's only about 51 degrees. The stove's kept me nice and toasty, even though I'm not wearing the warmest pajamas in the world. I mean, I've got my vest on, that'll help a little bit, but stove really helps and makes it a lot more bearable. So I think I'm going to keep doing this. I think I do like the stove, especially in the rain. It'd be hard to keep a fire going out there. Risk burning holes in the tent if I had it under cover at all. Or tarp, not tent. I really just like this time of year, into September, early October, this start of fall time frame. It's just no bugs out here. It just makes it wonderful. It's been a good trip. Squirrel's brave or stupid. It is squirrel season right now, after all. Alright, well, I've meandered around and exploring the area and took the stuff back to my car. It's time to start tearing down. If you made it this far, let me know. Do you prefer the videos where I'm talking and explaining things, or you prefer the more silent videos where the explanations are in the closed captions? Let me know. Enjoy.